So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting back here in sort of a warm afternoon down here in the mountains. Not a whole lot of breeze, just very still and quiet. Sitting out here in the old broadcast trailer. Whew, man, I tell you, I can't even imagine how much suffering is going on around the world because of the absolute insanity of some of these terrorist groups like this Donald Trump mob, because that's what Trump's running. He's running a mob. A lot of the Democrats, well, they've been nothing but a bunch of con artists for a long time, the old Democrats. And they've let things get way out of control. And I think in a lot of ways, have to excuse me here, I gotta get the old claw hammer to scratch a spot going there. There we go. Broadcast live. Oh boy. The old United States of America and their military presence all over the world. Yeah, buddy, they just keep spending that money like there's no tomorrow. 40 trillion in the hole. They're projecting 50 trillion by 2028. 50 trillion in the next couple of years. Because Donnie Trump just has to have his gold-plated statues up there to Washington, D.C. And he's got gold-plated this and gold-plated that. And, well, I'll tell you what, $1 billion on the White House, $900 million in renovations in the White House. Let's see, what else? Got $1 billion on the new presidential flying palace there, the new Trump Force One there, the jet he gets to take with him when he leaves office. They're going to spend $1 billion on his jet. Now, if that's not an emolument, I don't know what the hell is. If that's not an illegal emolument, I don't know what the hell is. And the American people just, I don't know, I guess their brains have been reduced to, those cheap Chinese tablet level Walmart piles of mush. As long as they can get their social media platform hooked up, they can buy their junk for their car over the net. There's no cohesiveness in the American society anymore. We've literally become a Sodom and Gomorrah with all the pervert crap on the net and pornography this, and, materialism, consumerism that. Hell, they're even arguing about what a woman is. That's when you know a society's brains are in the toilet. Right in the toilet when they can't even, make up their minds over what a woman is. Well, I'm going to tell you what a woman is just briefly here. I had grandmother and aunts to some people. I had sisters, got 2 daughters, by the way, 2 daughters. Had a couple of ex-wives, but the first one was an absolute train wreck. My first was an absolute train wreck. My second wife, she took one of those jibby jabs. If there was a free flu shot anywhere to be had, she was right down there getting that jibby jab shot. Did something. She had a huge seizure the next morning. Had a huge seizure, and she went into a cardiac arrest or something. I don't know. She fell on the kitchen floor dead. Yep. My oldest daughter was right there next to her, just hollering at her mother not to go. Don't die, Mom. My oldest daughter was wigging out, totally freaking out. So I did, what I'm supposed to do. I did CPR. I got her started again. I don't know how I picked her up off that kitchen floor, put her in the front seat of the pickup. I had a nice little four-door Toyota SR5, little four-wheel drive. We were way up in the mountains in Utah, and I drove to the Intermountain Hospital there at Provo. They were about, 35 miles away. I got down there in about 15 minutes, which will give you an idea that I was hauling ass. I wasn't going to wait for any ambulance. Hell no. She needed a doctor. She needed to be in the ER. So they took her in the ER and they tried to figure out what was going on with her. And they started trying to get, some blood so they could do some blood work. And her blood literally looked like chocolate pudding. That's how thick it was. I mean, they couldn't get any blood out of her. They got about a little half a vial, if that, of blood. And, well, she was super, super dehydrated, apparently, is what one of the diagnoses were. And she survived it, but she turned into this whole other person. Her brain just, her brain went south on her. Well, that's what happens, I guess, when you have these Anthony Fauci types and their mRNA jibby jab flu shots. Yeah. So in any event, here I am in the broadcast trailer. And I got to tell you something, America. I really do. This Don Trump is, he was afraid they were going to shoot down his Air Force plane. There's Air Force One, so he got in another plane. Left his whole White House staff in the other plane while he flew off in the decoy plane. Man, oh man, oh man. I'll tell you what. Yeah, just let all them White House staffers there get blown out of the sky by the people standing up for the Palestinians. This is my message to Hamas and the resistance and Palestine and Lebanon and even Syria, Jordan, to the Hezbollah, to the ISIS and the Al-Qaeda. Yeah, the American people are, it's not them so much as it is this bunch of crazies. Man, old back's itching. A bunch of crazies running the U.S. government. And this complete piece of shit Milikowski, Benjamin Nitwit the Yahoo, Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, the Bolshevik from New York City. He's not from the Levant. No, he's not from that part of the world. He's a imposter. He's a fraud is what he is, and he's a mass murderer. And excuse me, it's a live stream video. And then we've got all these super duper crazies that this bunch they call MAGA. And if anybody's been standing up to fix what's going on in this country, well, that might be me. But I don't know. I got quite a history. I'm down for about 45 years up in the government corruption grill, right up in their grill. Savings and loans, the banks, mortgage companies, these people down at the central appraisal districts that are jacking up real estate values just magically. I mean, they're trying to collect huge amounts of money based on a hyperinflated real estate markets that aren't even genuine. They're just made up. They make them up. And they send you a great big old fat tax bill in the mail, and they tell you if you don't pay it, they're going to hit you with interest and penalty, and then ultimately, if you don't cough it up, based on all this fictionally inflated numbers that they've sent you in the mail, they're going to foreclose on your property and put you out in the street. Now, here's the kicker. I mean, people can be mad at me all they want to. Here's the kicker. Script, fiat, helicopter, quantitative easing, script, the corporate script that you're trapped into this Federal Reserve System. They've even taken away the copper pennies. They were too expensive. They were too expensive to make. Even though the money's all fake, the copper pennies were too expensive to make. How about that? Ain't that something? Don Trump. Yeah, old J.D. Vance and Colin Powell, or not Colin Powell, Colin McDonald. Yeah, Todd Blanche. Pam Bondi. Barack Obama wanted to make plastic money, from what I understand. He just wanted to make it all out of plastic. Make cheaper money. You can look that up. Do your own research on making cheaper money by Barack Obama. That's what these lawyers do, man. Hocus pocus, abracadabra, presto changeo. It's not constitutional anymore. All this talk about, we got to defend this Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Well, that should have started back probably during the days of Eisenhower and John Kennedy, I guess. Because, boy, I'll tell you what, Lyndon Baines Johnson, Nixon, and Gerald Ford, and Jimmy the Peanut Man there, old Jimmy the Carter, this nation it's fallen a long way, ladies and gentlemen. This country has fallen a long, long way. And they'll sit right there and they'll look you in the eye and they'll tell you, God bless America. But they can't even tell you which God it is that they're referring to. I guess it's the God of the Federal Reserve, right? And all the Bolshevik, Zionists, they're not Jews. I'm sorry, that's the way it goes. They claim to be Jewish, but they're not Jewish. And that's the issue right there for a lot of Christians that understand what that all means. How the synagogue of Satan has risen up in the world like a viper snake. Oh yeah. Same with the Christians. There's a lot of Christians that aren't Christians. Claim they're Christians, but they ain't Christians. Christians wouldn't for a second put up with all the murders of them little Palestinian kids and their grandmas and their mamas and daddies. There's a lot of just people killing families. Right, Don Trump? You and Joe Biden. He's got cancer, old Joe Biden does, and apparently it's really hard on him, and he's dying, and yada, yada, yada. Now, he sent an awful lot of weapons to that madman Milikowski that murdered a whole bunch of people in Palestine. Palestine, ladies and gentlemen. I don't give a flying hootie tootie what the Chabadian, Zoplovec, Zionist, Bolshevik. It's Palestine. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Palestine. Been Palestine a long time, long before the Nakba. Study the Nakba a little bit and ask yourself, how the hell did that happen? But let's get back to explosive diarrhea and contaminated salad greens and lettuce here in the United States. Yeah, huge numbers of cases of explosive diarrhea. Maybe that's what Don Trump's suffering from. Why he's got that little diaper maid there going around in her spiked heels. I saw her running around with the diaper bag, you know, with her little mini skirt and her spiked high heels. And I was thinking to myself, we got a pervert in the White House. Yeah, we do. We got a pervert. He just thinks that surrounding himself with, what do they call it? Oh, bimbos. Bimbos and spiked heels, yeah. Bimbos and spiked heels. Make America great again, right, Don Trump? Bring on the bimbos. Oh, my God. Now, I don't want to pick on Sophia Cunningham, but there's a lot of woman there. Yes, she is. She had my mind all scrambled up there for about a month. I mean, I couldn't get her image out of my mind. That's how much a female, I mean, she's a woman. Sophie Cunningham's absolutely a woman. No questions there. And Sandra, what's her name there? I keep forgetting her name. She's a famous, very famous actress. Not Sandra, Susan Sarandon. There we go. Susan Sarandon's a woman. Oh hell yeah, Susan Sarandon. And that little lady from Code Pink. She's a beautiful woman. She's standing up for all the people who can't hardly stand up for themselves. I don't want to sound corny here or anything, but I think Greta Thunberg there, she's definitely a woman. Who else is a woman here? Man, oh man, oh man. My mother was a woman, I'll guarantee you that. Oh yeah. My mom was probably as close to an angel as there's ever been on this planet. She was a good mom. She had 7 children. And then because my parents had all the jukeboxes and the shuffleboards and the pinball machines, all the brand new, 33 and a third records on the jukeboxes, they had all the brand new releases. The most thorough collection of recent releases you could think on the old Wurlitzers and Seabergs. My dad had a jukebox business after World War II through the 1950s until he sold it to a fellow by the name of Henry Knobloch in Glens Falls, New York. On Saturday nights over at our house down in the basement, out in the backyard, probably 70 to 75 of the city of Glens Falls, the kids from the high schools where my sisters and brothers went to school, all the kids would come over and listen to all the new music, and my mother would entertain them all. She'd make popcorn, and she'd make pizzas and whatever. Coke, Pepsi, we'd have it all. She even got written up in the newspaper about 20-something years after she passed away. In the Glens Falls Post-Star, they wrote an editorial to my mom about how she entertained all the kids over in Broad Acres on Goodman Street and Cunningham Avenue. Yeah, my parents had a beautiful little house they built after World War II. And hometown America. That's where I was raised, hometown America. So, folks, I'm going to leave it sort of right there, and I suggest that you read about the looting of trillions and the laundering of trillions. The toxic zombie developments, that's all one word, by the way. I made that term. I made that big old long term, toxic zombie developments, 84 captures to let people in the world know, yep, it's that guy right here, this guy right here that's been up in the grill of the U.S. Treasury, the FBI, and the Justice Department for a long, long time, J.D. Vance. Mr. Colin MacDonald, Mr. Cash Patel, I'm that whistleblower. Rose ever loving hell about all the thievery I started down in Houston, Texas, by the way. Raising hell about way all the banks and savings and loans, mortgage system. Over 25 million American families got the shaft by crooked bankers, crooked folks down the S&Ls for these crooked predatory mortgages and these predatory foreclosure racketeering rackets. How about that Dave Harbin, old Panama Dave? Every racket there is, right, Harbin? Sam Bushman? Yeah. Sam Bushman knows damn well. From American Fork, Utah. Liberty Roundtable. Hey, Sam. Sheriff Richard Mack. I'm not particularly fond of you, Richard Mack. You're too wrapped up in yourself. Yeah, but that's kind of the way the Mormons are. They're all about being a Mormon. I was listening to Sam Bushman talk about manifest destiny and how he believes America came about because it was God's will to have freedom in the world, and he went on. I grew up on Abenaki land, King Hendrick territory along the Hudson Valley and Lake Champlain, Lake George, up in that part of the woods. King Hendrick land of the Iroquois Confederacy. That's where I grew up. And, well, you and me don't agree on which God is the correct one, Sam Bushman, because I'm pretty sure that God's not a Mormon. God's not a Jew either. I don't think he's Hindu. I don't think he's Muslim. I don't think God is a Republican. I don't think God's a Democrat. I think God is sovereign. I see God in a lot of the little children of the world. I'm going to leave it right there. I'm getting off into some philosophy. My brother passed away now. He's been on the other side of the veil since he died in 99, 2000, something like that. He'd been gone quite a while. He used to tell me and argue with me about his philosophy. And for the longest time, man, I kept thinking, philosophy, what the hell is he talking about, philosophy? And, well, for us normal people, it's philosophy. But he used to call it philosophy. Pretty funny, isn't it? So Donald Trump, clock's ticking, pal. The clock's ticking, Don Trump. You better get your shit together. Man, I don't think I'd want to go to the pearly gates with you to hear what St. Pete's got to tell you. I told all these lawyers up at the Reuben Clark Law Library there in Provo, Utah, Brigham Young University's law library, I told them, you ever hear that one about the lawyer that goes to heaven? St. Pete looks at him through the gates and he said, man, I'm awfully sorry, but you remember that bar exam? You guys got to go to the other door. This is heaven. we don't let lawyers in here.